Before you came round, my heart would never be like yours.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Holly, and normally on my channel you would see lifestyle, fashion and basically my whole life vlogs. But this video is a little bit more of a laid back kind of video. It's a subject that obviously a lot of people are interested in with me at the moment, and it's something that I feel like I probably should talk about now that we're at a point in our journey that treatment has begun. So I am infertile. That is probably the best way to open this video. Now, if any of you know and you've been with me for quite a long time, you will know that I have posted videos in the past and I haven't gone into detail about what's going on, but that I've been really down and that I've not wanted to really talk about this in that way. I've never gone into detail, and it's taken a long time for all the testing and that to happen, but I'm now at a good place in the journey that I'm hoping to have so much hope, and it's all started. So all the waiting and everything is hopefully going to come to an end soon. But yeah, so basically what happened was, before me and Adam got married, we had decided we wanted to try for a baby, we wanted to have a baby. Now, I'd been off of contraception since March 2017. The reason being wasn't at first to be trying for a baby. I came off of it because I wanted my body to be back to normal when we did want to start trying. So I thought about a year beforehand of not, so 2017, I didn't think about trying for a baby. I was just thinking long term it would be an investment for me to come off the injection, because I know how long it can take for the injection, the Depo-Provera injection, to come out of your system. So we thought nothing of it, we came off of it. And obviously there were odd opportunities and odd chances where, I could have fallen pregnant, because we weren't 100% safe all the time, but we weren't. So we didn't fall pregnant, and it kept going. And then obviously when me and Adam sat and spoke about it before we got married and before we went away to Orlando, we said to each other, we're going to start trying 100%. So we did start trying before we went away. And when we went to Orlando, it was, the aim was to fall pregnant, and obviously that didn't happen. And we kept going and kept trying. And at this point, after Orlando, I said to Adam, look, I think there's something wrong. I've been off of the injection since 2017. It's now 2018. We've not fallen pregnant. There's been no indication of me having my periods back to normal. I didn't bleed, so I came off the injection from March 2017. I didn't actually start bleeding until the December, and since December 2017 I have had irregular periods. And I don't just mean 1 month I bleed, 1 month I don't. I mean, I was getting to a point that I was bleeding all month, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every week and a half. They were irregular. There was nothing. At one point I thought I was getting into a routine and I was getting them every 2 weeks, and I thought, right, this just isn't going to work. How the hell am I going to do this if I'm bleeding every 2 weeks? So it was a real stress, a real struggle for a long time. So I said to Adam, look, there's something wrong, there's something not right, I need to go and get this looked at. So booked an appointment with my doctor before, when we got back from Orlando, and nothing had happened. And my doctor said to me, right, okay, so really and truthfully, you should have fallen pregnant by now. The Depo only lasts in your system for up to a year to 18 months. So at this point, we were looking at roughly 17 and a half months prior to that, roughly. And she was just like, right, we need to start doing the testing sides of it, because obviously if I want to refer you to have treatment or anything, then we need to get everything out of the way. So at first it was just tests. So I had a full blood count. Now the full blood count came back as a problem. I had rejected the rubella injection that you get when you are a child and you have your MMR vaccinations. My body rejected it. Now I learned a little bit after that appointment from my doctor that actually any girl that is from the year 1994, I guess, that year, that was the trial year for the injection. And it was obviously, so it covered everything. I believe that's what happened. I'm not 100% true. I'm not a medical physician or anything, so I've got no idea. But she said you guys were part of a trial experiment. Now, your parents weren't necessarily told that you were a part of a trial vaccination, and a lot of people rejected it. And for some reason, I'm one of them people, my body rejected the rubella side of the injection. And apparently it's not just me. I have spoken to a few people that are of my age and at the same schools and everything, and they said, oh my god, we had the same problem, we had to go and have the injection redone and everything. So I was kind of glad that it wasn't just me. And I phoned my mum, like, Mum, what the hell, I thought I had my MMR, and like on the paperwork it says I had my MMR vaccinations, everything was there, but this one side. So obviously that's a problem to start with, because you need to have your rubella injection for trying for a baby, and you know, to stop potential problems getting to the baby. But the only thing is, once you've had that injection, you can't try for a baby. So I had the injection done December, after we went through testing and everything like that. So December of last year. And I remember we weren't allowed to start trying again until the middle of January, because there's something about being in your system for 4 weeks. It's a live injection, you don't want to risk it. So we were like, that's fine, we're not going to risk it. Happy days, that's absolutely fine, don't worry about it. So that was that first stage, and we thought maybe that would be it. Maybe that was the problem. It was, you know, my body rejected its rubella. Maybe that was it. And, you know, we carried on. We kept trying. Then, obviously, because that test came back as normal in that sense, I then had to have scans. So I had to have internal and external scans to find out if, you know, there's any problems, if I've got any cysts or anything like that. I had all the scans done and it all came back clear. No cysts. My body looks absolutely healthy, there was no problem. So again, that then became another problem. We're sitting there with the doctor and she's like, there's nothing medically wrong. And Adam had to give his sperm sample as well to tell us what was wrong, if he was a problem. And actually he's not. He's really good, he's really healthy for who, you know, for somebody, you know, who's not really that healthy. You know, he's really well in that sense. So that was then like, right, that kind of put into perspective my doctor, right, okay, so we obviously need to send you for treatment plan. So after having these scans done, I then had to go and have my smear test done, because you can't have fertility treatment until you've had your smear test. And then eventually we had to have another round of blood tests. This blood test though was done on day 1, day 10 and day 20 of your cycle, roughly. So that they can track ovulation and track if you are ovulating. Now the problem I've got, which has been apparent since I've been doing this treatment plan, this was in the February time. So February of this year, we had our first round of blood tests done to find out if I'm ovulating. Now February came back as no. They couldn't get it right because my period is so irregular. I don't have a day 1, day 20, day 10, day 5. My periods just don't work like that. So we tried to do it as best as we could, but obviously when I eventually got the appointment in the March for my fertility clinic, they turned around and said, no, we can't do it like that, you need to have it done on these days. And you know, I sat there crying because there's nothing more I can do. I was like, I don't know what I can do. I don't have a regular cycle. How can I get these days right if I don't have a regular cycle? And I got so upset. And we went and saw the specialist for the first time. This was our first specialist. So since then I've had 2 others, which I'll explain. But I went to this first specialist and he took all the information down. And at first I was like, you know what? It's going to be fine. Brilliant. Spoke to him and he went through everything. He looked at my period dates and I had to obviously write down for the last year what my periods have been. And I have an app called Flow, which I put all my periods down as of when I'm starting, if I'm spotting, anything like that, just so you can keep a track of what's going on and when in your cycle. And I remember him looking at the paper going, well, that's not right. And I'm like, yeah, obviously, hence why I'm sat here. Of course it's not right. It's irregular bleeding. And he's turned around and gone, yeah, but how can you have a period then? And then 2-3 days later you start bleeding again. I'm going, that's why I'm sat here. What aren't you grasping from that? Why do you think I'm sat here? What, just for the fun of it? Just to turn around and say, oh, well, yeah. So that annoyed me to start with, and even Adam sat there and said, it's as if he thinks you're lying. You generally got that feeling from the first specialist that I was lying about my periods. And I said to him, this is how frustrating it is for me. I can't track my own cycle. Let as well sit there and tell you, well, yeah, I have a day 1, day 2, day 3. I don't have that. It just doesn't work. So that was the first tick off from him, and I was like, right, I'm not comfortable with this guy at all. And then he turned around and said, you're also overweight. Bearing in mind, when I went for that first specialist appointment, I was 9 stone. Now, for me to be in my healthy weight, I had to be from 6.5 stone to 8.5 stone to be classified as my healthy BMI. So I was I was 7 pounds, so just about under half a stone, roughly, I think it was, from being my ideal weight. And he turned around and said that the reason I'm not conceiving and the reason that it's not working for me is because I'm overweight. I get that your BMI has to be a certain range when you go for certain treatments. IVF are really strict on it. You have to have a BMI of your height and weight, and that's fine. I do get that, I understand. But when a doctor turns around and says to you, the reason you're not conceiving is because you're overweight, it broke my heart. I literally came out of that appointment, before I'd even got to the stairs, sobbing. I didn't feel happy with the specialist I had. I felt like I was being told I was a liar. I felt that he didn't look at anything in my records. He wasn't interested. He didn't understand the fact I don't have regular cycles. And he turned around and said the reason for all of this is because I'm overweight. When I first started these tests, I was bang on 8.5 stone. I'd put on half a stone from random things, you know, hormone problems. I'm having so many big hormone imbalances, you know. I'm gaining water weight, I bloat, I've got IBS, so if I'm having a bad week, my weight fluctuates dramatically. The next week I weigh myself and I've dropped myself back down to the weight I need to be. It's just how my body, and probably a lot of women's bodies, works, and the fact he didn't even think to look at any of that shot fire alarms for me. I said, no, I don't want to see him again. So I went back to my main doctor. I said to her what had happened, how I felt, what he said. Adam was absolutely fuming with this. He was like, I don't understand why he spoke to us like that, as if we're making this all up, as if there's no physical reason for me to not have a baby, but let's just blame it on her weight instead. And my doctor said, well, that can't be right. Should I understand in a way, yes, for treatment, some of you have to make sure you're a certain weight. However, if that was the case, then women that were over that BMI wouldn't fall pregnant. She's gone, so that doesn't make sense. So she read the referral letter that he had sent, because obviously they have to copy you in all the letters that they send. So he sent a letter to my doctor to say what he thinks. My doctor read that, and I have never heard a doctor shout that much in my life. She literally called the main doctor that owns the surgery in and said, you need to come and read this, and read the letter, and they were both absolutely horrified with what he said. She was like, of course she hasn't got a regular cycle, hence why we've sent her to you. You know, yes, she's no, you know, she may not be. So my doctor actually weighed me and took a proper count of it and said, she is bang on the weight that you're saying that she needs to be. She said, you know, women's bodies fluctuate. 1 week we could weigh one amount, the next week we can weigh another. When you have so many problems that I do, have IBS, hormone imbalances, the whole shebang, what do you expect? What does that doctor expect? So she told me to complain to the NHS complaint service, which I did, and thankfully since that day I've not had to have another appointment with that one specialist. We then went and saw our second specialist, who we absolutely love. I absolutely think he's brilliant. Our doctor is so good. He was really understanding, really friendly. He took me through it and he said, right, this is what I think. So the next stage for me, I'm looking at all your report, is I need you to have a HSG test done. I hope I've said that right. The HSG test, which is basically where they put dye inside of you and flush it through your fallopian tubes to see that if the dye comes out of your fallopian tubes, that it's clear. Basically, there's no blockages or anything like that. And he also wanted me to go and have another internal and external scan just to check that if I'm ovulating by chance. When we went and saw this, so this was only August time that we saw our new doctor. I can't say his name, I have to apologise. But before we saw our new doctor, and he had the test done like near enough a couple of days later. I had to have it done on a certain day of my period, so the HSG was done on day 7, and then obviously the internal scans I had done throughout my cycle, and it actually picked up that I was ovulating. Now, I was over the moon when I found out. Oh my gosh, I'm ovulating right now. That's crazy. So, you know, you go home, you crack on it, girls. But unfortunately, nothing came of that, and that's when you know there must be something wrong. I then, the following month, so September, I ended up buying the Clear Blue ovulation tracker, and I tracked I was ovulating. Brilliant. Oh my gosh, I'm ovulating. This is 2 months in a row now. I'm ovulating. I can't believe it. And then it came to middle of September time when I took ovulation tests and I couldn't track it. In that space of time, I also got the HSG results back, and obviously they came back absolutely normal. There's nothing wrong, physically wrong with me. My fallopian tubes are clear. They were hoping that this might help, actually, because some people have found they fall pregnant after having the HSG because it thickens out the womb and the layers that you have to your womb, which is brilliant. So I went back to the specialist. I couldn't get an appointment with my main specialist, so I got one with the woman who actually runs the department. She was incredible. I've never met somebody like her. She was crazy, but she knows what she's doing, and I felt so safe with these 2 doctors. I told her what was going on, and she said, right, basically what you have is unexplained. She said, although she said, I'm surprised nobody has ever said to you about PCOS. I'm surprised that it's not flagged up, because what you are saying and your symptoms and everything is PCOS, but there's no actual evidence here to say that is what you have. And I was like, you know, it isn't something I've been told about before. You know, they've mentioned it when I'm having testing done, but no one's ever said, Holly, this is what you have. So she's like, we are treating this at the moment as unexplained. She said, there is no physical reason for either of you not to have children. It's just not your time at the moment. She's gone, so we've got options here. We either hold fire and you keep going naturally, or you are accepted to have IUI and IVF. And we were like, right, okay. And she talked us through both the options, and she said, look, this is what the first one includes, this is what the other one includes. So IUI is basically where they take the sperm away, put it into a lab, cleanse the sperm, put it back inside of me, and then basically let my body do whatever it needs to do, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything works out okay. IVF is a lot more complex. It's more of a surgical procedure. They take my eggs away, add on sperm, put it together. If they fertilise and the embryo stays, then they'll put it into you and hope your body accepts it, basically, and that you fall pregnant. It is a lot more higher rate having IVF for success than it is IUI, but because I actually haven't got any physical problems, they suggested that maybe we start with the IUI. Now, me and Adam sat with the doctor, we spoke about it, we said, what would we like to do? What, you know, both of us, this is not just me, this is both of us, we both got to make this decision, and we both decided that we would start with IUI and hope that in a way our bodies can do it naturally. So with IUI, I have to take the clomide medication twice every day, and I also have an injection which I have to take on a certain day of my cycle, which they will tell me once I've had my scan. So I start taking the medication from day 2 to day 6. Then I need to have a scan, internal scan, done on day 8. And if my eggs have developed and they're big enough, then the hospital will say, right, we can do the injection to release them, and then I have to go to the main hospital 24 hours later and the procedure happens. So it's very quick, it happens very quickly, but you have to also skip a month when you're doing it. So if we're lucky enough, my period hasn't arrived as of yet, it is late, but I am definitely not pregnant. I have tested every day. I think it's just because I'm so irregular, we just got to wait for it to sync up whenever it wants to. So it's a bit of a wait at the minute. I'm a little bit on edge, a little bit anxious, I'm frustrated because I want it to come, and maybe that's making it worse, I don't know. But it's a long process, but they skip a month. So if we have it done this month, so hopefully my period arrives in the next week, so we can then start treatment for November. And then we skip a month, December, and then we start again just after Christmas in January. Because they tend to find, because of the medication you're taking, a lot of people find they fall pregnant in that gap between treatment and no treatment. So fingers crossed, after at least the first, they're all hoping by the second round we're going to have some good news. She keeps saying to us, hopefully by Christmas you'll have some really happy news to tell your family that it's worked. Obviously the other problem we've got is with my past of, you know, periods, everything like that, I am classified as high risk. So that means miscarriages are quite high out there. You know, there could be problems. I'm going to have to be monitored. So I will be going to the hospital a lot. And if anyone's watching this, especially if you know me and you're wondering why I'm all over the place at the moment, that'll be why. I'm having to go back and forth to hospital appointments and keep checking everything's okay, keep checking I'm okay, that my body's doing what it needs to do. It's a lot of work. It's not an easy process, and it's really not stress-free. It is so stressful, constantly talking to hospitals and everything. And then we're hoping, if we're not lucky enough and my body rejects it all, then we start IVF in April. So that is something to look forward to for me and Adam. We're hoping it doesn't get to that stage. We're hoping we do fall pregnant naturally. Of course, who wouldn't want to fall pregnant naturally? But that's our journey at the moment. We're kind of in a bit of a limbo position. We don't really know what's happening, what's going on, but I do remember walking out of that appointment, the first appointment we had, feeling like I was never going to have a baby. These doctors weren't going to help me. But since seeing my previous two specialists, they have turned around and given me so much hope, and I'm so grateful for them for making me feel so comfortable. And the nurses that I see every time I go there, and they're like, oh hi, how are you? And you know, they get to know you as people because you're there all the time. But I just hope that soon me and Adam can get exactly what we want. You know, we're both desperate to be a family and have a baby with us, and it's so hard to explain to people who have children and people that, you know, aren't at that stage how I'm feeling. Sometimes I have good days, sometimes I have bad days. I cry a lot. I feel like I'm failing myself a lot. I feel like I'm failing my family. I feel like I'm failing my husband. You know, my body is just not accepting it. And that breaks my heart. I will be honest, it's broken my heart. And the fact that maybe we may never be lucky enough to have a family. And that's something that won't leave my head. As much as I've got so much hope and the doctors are giving us so much hope, those little details do stay in your head for a long time, and I am feeling it. And it's so hard to explain to people that have children, you know, feel blessed that you've got them, because we'd do anything to have children, absolutely anything. So yeah, I guess next time people ask or want to make judgment on the whole situation or infertility, and you know, everyone asks me, when are you and Adam gonna have a baby, are you pregnant? And they're questions you don't want to be asked all the time, and I do get asked a lot by, you know, I have had family that didn't know, that ask, and you do get really upset, and my mum's having to explain like, no, this is what's going on. It's so hard when you're holding a brand new baby in your arms and you want to feel so much love and happiness, but you feel inside a lot of hate, not towards the baby, not towards the people having babies, because it's so lovely seeing brand new babies and I love giving them cuddles. But when you sit there thinking, why am I not lucky enough? Why me? Like, why am I not lucky? Why am I not allowed to have this? So yeah, there are things like that still are getting to me, and it's going to take a long time. I do have a lot of negative days, and Adam is trying to keep me as positive as he can, but it is so disheartening when every month you do a pregnancy test and it comes back as negative. I'm constantly buying pregnancy tests. My bin in my bathroom is full. I could literally pull them all out of the bin now and show you how much money and time and pain this is causing both of us at the moment. It's just not fair, you know, life's not fair, but that's our journey. I don't really know what else to say. I just thought I'd let everybody know what I've gone through so far and what I'm going through, and you know how serious it can be actually having these problems. And it's so hard, especially when there's no problem, there's nothing physically there to say that that's what's wrong, and that's the hardest thing about it. So obviously I hope that if anybody else is feeling this way, if any of you are going through fertility treatments yourself and you know how I'm feeling, you know, DM me on Instagram, comment below, anything, you know, I'm here for everybody. And of course, I don't want anyone to sit here and think that I'm slating people for having children and that I'm not happy with that. I'm happy for anybody who's able to have children, I really am. Just sometimes internally, I've got my own feelings and my own problems going on that make it a lot harder to feel just as happy. But yeah, I hope this video helps somebody at least, and I hope if any of you are trying to look at going through how long the process takes. We started our process in 2018 and we're still at the end of 2019 near enough, and we're only just about to start treatment. So it's not something that happens quickly. It takes a lot of time, and depending on your situation, it could take a long time before anything can happen. So all I can say is make sure you look after yourself, girls. You know, take your vitamins, do everything you can. If you are on the same journey as me, you know, I sprinkle baby dust, and I hope that it happens with you guys soon, just like we're hoping it's going to happen with us soon. And I hope at some point I can give you all some really good news and actually do a happy vlog about hopefully our little miracle. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I can imagine you may not like this video, but please hit subscribe to keep along with our journey. It's going to be a long one, so we're going to keep trying to keep everybody as up to date as we can. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I love you all. Bye.
And we will talk with our heads